Do you even need to back up your EC2 VMs? That's what I want to talk about today. So let's consider a typical EC2 VM, right? It's got a root volume and one or more data volumes. So in an EC2 VM, there are a few things that can happen. The same things that happen in VMs and physical servers anywhere else. Something can happen and just randomly corrupt the data. That does happen. Another thing that can happen is that the data becomes corrupted sort of accidentally or maliciously by someone hacking, I'll just put an H there, someone hacking that VM and then deleting a database or deleting a file system or just deleting a whole bunch of files. Or think about this being a Windows VM and it actually gets some sort of ransomware virus. So you end up corrupting or encrypting all of this data, so you need to go back to the pre-encrypted version. But there's something that can happen to an EC2 VM that might not happen to a VM anywhere else, and that is someone either accidentally or maliciously just deletes the VM or deletes the data. If someone either accidentally or maliciously deletes your VM and you don't have a snapshot of it or some other kind of backup of it, that VM is gone forever. There's a story that if you haven't heard of it, you need to know about it, and it's a company called Codespaces.com. Go Google that phrase and read the very sad story of a company that was in AWS, had an EC2 VM, probably multiple EC2 VMs, their account was hacked and they were held for ransom. Things didn't go well with the hacker, and this is what he did. He just deleted their entire company, and they ceased to exist that day. And that's the kind of thing that can happen if you don't back up your EC2 VMs. There are a couple of different ways to back up an EC2 VM. One is to put an agent inside of the VM. The other, we might call it official way to back up an EC2 VM, is to create an EBS snapshot. You can create this snapshot in one of three ways. You can either do it manually, on demand. You can do it automatically. You can schedule the VM to automatically create a snapshot of itself every so often. There are challenges with that because you might need to interface with something going on in the application, and then you end up writing scripts and other things that get more complicated. You can also use a third-party manager, such as what Driva provides in the Cloud Ranger product, to manage this whole process so you don't need to do any kind of scripting or anything like that. But there is no question that you need to back up these VMs, because if someone deletes it or if something bad happens to the data inside the VM, just like it could happen in any other VM or physical server anywhere, you need to be able to recover from that, and you're only going to be able to do that if you're backing it up. So I hope I answered the question of whether or not you need to back up an EC2 VM.